Well, outcomes and actions classes are both included in the thick descriptions. But thick descriptions do not end with answering what kind of deed was done and what happened next, nor is it sufficient to detail the action's object, extent, timing, intention, and manner of Aristotle's, as Aristotle suggests. In addition, as adequate descriptions must be made of identity of the agent.
So the identity of the agent, what the agent is all about, is part of his thick descriptions here.
Right.
He says the agent's character is made clear by what he calls a triple level of analysis. And so the first level of analysis considers what I do is the right thing or the wrong thing, right? Is what I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing? That's kind of, action based. And so that's one level of analysis. He says the second level considers why I did it, right? So I might do the right thing for ignoble reasons.
Right.
And so, again, that has an impact on the comport of the particular action, right? So, well, what I do, did I do the right thing? Did I do the right thing for the wrong reasons? Right? So that needs to take into account in terms of these three levels. The third level is to consider, namely, the character I embody, he says. So whether or not my friends are surprised is a crucial index of the sort of character that I embody. So notice what he's going to get at here then is character, something that's built up over time. And this is what is expected in my behavior from the people that know me, right? And so if they're surprised, then it seems like I'm doing something that doesn't align with my character. Mm-hmm. And so this threefold description, right? What I do is the right or wrong thing. Did I do it for the right reasons, right? And then my character that's embodied. So this threefold description, he says, how a virtue ethicist describes the telos or goal of human living. Doing the right thing for the right reason and having our friends never be surprised. So there it is, right?
Yeah. I was thinking back to how modern day TV shows kind of focus either on the bad guy's perspective or I don't even know if you can call them morally gray heroes anymore. It's more like morally black heroes that you're supposed to root for. Yeah. So you have Walter White from Breaking Bad. He takes out a drug dealer. Good, right? Well, but he's doing it to gain some of the territory, and you're supposed to root for that and enjoy that. Or, in Game of Thrones, the snot-nosed king is murdered. Well, that's a good thing. We all cheered for it. Well, except it was done to consolidate power and to have a greater share over control of the throne. Well, bad, right? So if you're looking at modern day TV shows and saying, where can I see these three things? Having your good characters nowhere on the screen, it's going to be hard to find doing the right thing for the right reasons, and then your friends never being surprised. Superman is always going to, back in the day, Superman was always going to do the right thing at the extent of the most minimal amount of damage possible. These days is not. So Batman and Wonder Woman are never going to be surprised at Superman's, Boy Scout behavior. And that's where the conflict lies within that dynamic. And that's interesting. But when everyone's, Batman and you're the consequentialist person, you as long as no one dies, there's where it's inverted. And so here we can see why these areas need to be kind of spelled out within our Christian virtue ethics, and not our TV character ethics. Well, Christian virtue ethics analyzes moral situations relative to fit of its actions as measured against the character of Jesus Christ, revealed in the gospel narratives. For virtue ethics, the metric is not so much effectiveness as faithfulness to the gospel, right? So, we would look at some characters within the Old Testament or in the New Testament. Paul is a perfect example. He gets warned by a prophet coming up to him and binding his feet and saying, "If you go to Jerusalem, you will be arrested." Well, that's a bad thing to do, to take yourself out of the ability to spread the gospel. But he knows that he must go there, and it's a benefit to him to know those things, and so he still goes. So right action centered in the character of the unsurprising at that point Paul, and so here he's measuring himself to the faithful. We're measuring his actions to the faithfulness of the gospel, and not so much, well, you could do so much more, Paul, but he's then going to be like Jonah and saying, well, I just won't go over there and nothing bad will happen to me. And maybe that's one of the reasons why we have the Old Testament telling us stories. Again, what about evil? Scott Christian talks about God being the storyteller, and why is the story is there? And it's to show us characters and characteristics of those characters. And we should be surprised at prophets of God who recognize and loudly proclaim God's will would be done, except I don't want it to be done here, and so we're going to take off. So this is the not so much the contradiction. Well, it's the contradiction to the world idea, but the consistency where we must shift our focus when we're talking about Christian ethics, the focus on the faithfulness to the gospel.
Right. So the idea here is, here I am, Lord, use somebody else.
Exactly. That seems really hard. Yeah.